welcome back to week whatever of our Q&A.
16.
We are back in the booth, and we are edited as well. Thus, I can do this, and a graphic will appear and then go away. Because it's edited. On with the show.
So we're going to open up today's with a comment from Jenna Willis Johnson. Sirenicide is one of the best audio podcasts out there today. This is coming from a blind person.
I think we've discussed her before, either in an ICE episode or one of the other Q&As, but that never doesn't shake me when I hear that. That is so cool that we do everything we can to make this like a cinematic movie for your ears.
Yes, that's how we try to describe it, everything.
And I'm so, that warms my heart hearing that. So thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it. And I think you'll enjoy hearing The Haunted too. Mm-hmm. Same style, new stories.
Yep.
Next year. Our first question comes from Kinta Groos. This is for everyone on the cast. Which character is the most fun to voice? Which is the hardest character to voice? Like, takes the most out of the actor or requires the most fiddling around with? I hope I didn't butcher your name too badly. I'm not from Sweden, but I love Swedish metal. I think this will be a really cool social experiment, Kinta. We are going to test the cast. So if you're viewing this video, please comment Joe, Des, Christina, Mervin. What is the hardest voice for you to voice and why? And what is the one that you like doing the most? And now we're going to do ours. Go for it, ladies first.
The hardest one I did was the Wraith. That's because I had to do every line and then I had to whisper it. So it was double layered. And then I believe when Eddie did that production of that one, he also reversed it as well. So I think it was 3 tracks to get the Wraith.
And that is season 2, episode 7.
Yes, I believe so. So for me, that one was the hardest one.
What about the one you like to do the most?
I like Margaret Sharp the best.
You like Margaret over Molly?
I do.
What about Ancient Molly? You didn't like her 2 lines?
Oh, her 2
Well, I guess we're not going to get to spoiler yet.
No.
So, okay. We'll do that. So right now we haven't crept into spoilers. I tried to keep the first few questions before we go into spoiler territory, so you should be safe if you're listening to this at the moment. I think my favorite character to voice is Marty.
Really?
Yeah. I love doing him.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
Yeah, I just, please extend your hand. Like from the first time we meet him, which is in like mini episode 3 or 4, so it's very early on. But he's half human, half cyborg. But and he's just got, to me, the most like, there is room, which I won't spoil what that means, but like when there's a weird situation, he's always like nudging it for the darker thing. And he's just, it's so cool to like come in here and just be like, hello, welcome to the Sirenicide Q&A. I am Marty. And it doesn't sound anything like that when it comes out processed. And a lot of times I tell people like that I work with or family or friends like, oh, I'm doing that voice too. That doesn't sound like you. Like, that's a good compliment.
Your hardest one.
Blackwell.
Yeah, that's at the very beginning too.
Blackwell is the worst acted person I've done and the hardest one. He is. He's just, get the fuck off me. I mean, he's the first voice I do in the series. He's in episode 1, season 1. And then he comes back for a mini episode, which won't spoil what happens to him if you haven't got there yet. But yeah, he's whiny. He's just a weenie. And he's just,
So it sounds like you just don't like him. Not that it was hard to do.
No, he's just like, he's just...
It's a hard register for you to get into.
He's very nasally. But Natalie, you texted me. It's just not me. So I guess he was just the hardest. He was also when I was learning the voice act. So he was the hardest character to get into for me. And yeah, I guess that's why, things happen with him in the future. A little less than often because I don't like voicing him as much. We'll just leave it at that. Everybody else, please comment. I'm kind of curious.
I know.
That is a great question. Thank you so much.
So our next questions comes from Alberto de Jesus. How has the show affected your life? What's different? Any fan interactions outside of the cast, out and about the streets, or some cosplay you've encountered? Planning to attend any cons in the future?
Well, we usually do Scary Dad Con every year.
Yes, we do.
Nobody has cosplayed it as any of our characters yet, though, but that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Show up at Scary Dad 2020 dressed up like a Sirenicide character, and you will get something really awesome. Super awesome. Priceless awesome.
It would be awesome.
Yeah. But you gotta get there. So if you're watching this from Japan, book your flight now.
Yeah. It might be cheap now.
And on that same note, no, I can't think of anybody that's cosplayed any of our characters. I think Brandon Greer has talked about doing some.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Desdymona would be able to pull something off pretty well. She, designs cosplay and does a ton of that in her little shop. So, but no, we're not there yet. Right now, we still have a very niche audience that's very,
near and dear
to our hearts. But, unfortunately, they're not all in our remote area where we'd bump into them worldwide.
I guess every now and then, we'll run across someone that, you start talking about podcasts or something, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm part or I run a podcast, and you tell them that one. They're like, oh, yeah, I heard about that one.
Or there's a mask at Party City that was, I think, in one of the Purge movies.
Yeah.
And it's got, a stitched mouth with loops on it, but they're all even. They're not, I don't have one in here, but our old one, they were reversed. And people will send me that constantly, oh, they ripped off Sirenicide, look. I get that at least probably twice a year, every year around Halloween, because it lights up green or blue or red, depending on what mask you get, and it's got X's over the eyes, and it's like, I don't think we invented X's for eyes for death. I think a bunch of metal bands have done that. Cartoons did it in the 30s.
Cartoons have always done that.
But I think it's just the stitched up mouth added to it kind of trips people out. But yeah. So that's it. How has it changed our lives? Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for the beard noise there. Everything. Yeah. It literally before the podcast.
Kind of hard to remember sometimes what we would even do with our time
2016
before the podcast.
It's over 3 years now. It is literally ingrained in every aspect of my day. Depending on what's due or what I have to do. Do I get to sit back and just watch a football game, or during those games do I need to edit a Q&A video, or do I need to upload an episode and make sure it's syndicated? On my lunch break, do I need to go through a script again, or do I need to listen to another draft of an episode? So yeah, I mean it has changed. It has added a ton of work to life, but it's still really rewarding, especially when fans email you in or message you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that, as a content creator in this world of the more you're out there, the more likes and comments and those kind of things you get, the more you're noticed and more people will talk. It's it sucks because some of the most meaningful conversations happen in one-on-one messengers from people. They'll just message you a question, or they'll ask, or they'll comment about something about the show, and they're from never heard of them before. They'll just been listening to you for years, great show, that kind of thing. And it's the content creator side's oh, I wish that would have been a public review, or they would have posted that on Facebook so other people make it a conversation. But that's just for that side of trying to get your show out there more. The part that still hits you hard in the heart is man,
yeah,
they really like what we're doing. That's so cool. So we'll take compliments and all that any way we can get them. Not criticism though. We hate that. No, we're very attuned to that. Yeah, I mean, seeing we're at Sirenicide's serialized dip here towards the end, and before we go into the anthology series, I don't know what that's going to do to my day-to-day, but that's to be determined.
Yeah.
And I've become more of an editor than a director, so...
Things have kind of slowed down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. For the good.
Yeah. For our day-to-day lives, but I look back and I'm like, man, what did I do before, like, the podcast?
Right. All right.
Jason Cisneros asks, this is more of a first season since I'm very behind. That's okay. During the dialogue with Johnny Stitches and one of his dudes in the first episode where Stitches appears, there is another voice under his, mainly to show that Stitches isn't like anyone else.
That's right.
A similar voice is heard when that chick turns into a vampire and feeds on her date.
Slight spoilers. I think it's for the second mini episode. You're all right. Mild spoilers right now.
Is that just a style choice, or was that a symbolism to symbolize an entity of some sort? And if so, what is the entity?
That's a question. It's like right here on the screen. It's a good one, though.
It is a really good one.
So, yeah, in the early part of the production, we wanted to make sure that when someone heard one of our malevolent beings, that it felt that way. It's very inspired from Mother Talzin from the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I loved whenever she would speak, and then you'd hear this, like, deep, almost Mel-sounding echo coming out of her. You know, like, she's just like, Dathomir. And I'm like, what? That's awesome. And that was from a cartoon back in 08 or whatever, and it just stuck with me. Or 09, whenever it was, that she was introduced. Not going to spoil Star Wars for anybody. But, yeah. And so when we started creating it, and we were talking about, well, how can we make sure that someone will know when Johnny's present or anything? And this is obviously before Doc and some of the other ones we use that effect on, like before he was introduced to the show. Getting mild spoilers. Where like when he's speaking, it's like, what the heck is that? I wanted that. And also later on, as characters develop, like Eddie, and become more powerful, that voice starts creeping up into the mix. That way you realize they're gaining power they didn't have when you first heard them.
So they're like pulling from the augment.
Right. And yeah, it's on her, so you can notice that she's a vampire, because she's just like, why don't, or something like, how about tonight? I'm so sorry, what was that? I said, right here, or right now, Steve, or right here, Steve, or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the heck? And it's doing that same amplified voice. It's not as delayed or disembodied, I don't believe, but it's definitely like two layered files on top of each other, bringing her demonic side to life. So yeah, but that's where the inspiration came from. And then I still watch Clone Wars with the kid and stuff like that. I'm like, we still didn't nail it like they did. Why can't we be as good as, Lucasfilm? I mean, what is the core element missing between our production and theirs? They're so similar.
So similar.
I guess just because I don't have a ranch. An audio-visual ranch. Or ILLM or Kathleen Kennedy or Disney money. Anyway.
Moving on. The next question comes from Duncan McPherson.
Producer, professor extraordinaire of production.
How did you guys come up with the concept for the life engine and the recycling of souls? Is it based on the phenomenon of reincarnation? What are your thoughts on reincarnation?
I like the idea of reincarnation. I think if any of these afterlives that, you could have a choice of, that's the one I would want. I mean, I don't know about the whole, I like the idea of it being like random, not like based on you were good in this life, so now you get to be this. You were bad in this life, now you're a cricket, or something like that. I think that's kind of ridiculous. But ours is very concentrated on like it's a machine basically. And okay, so before we go too much further, I guess I'll stop. Spoilers. If you're not caught up on season 1 through season 4, episode 13, get the fuck out of here. We'll wait. All right. So, the life engine is very, like, it's in the Ark realm, and it's this vast creation that these angels put together to funnel life into this plane they laid out. So they basically like laid a plane out, and this ethereal engine runs between this physical realm and this physical realm, channeling life from the hands of creation, this council. And it's been running for eons and eons and eons. It's survived mass extinctions and kept pumping life. And It's almost kind of like to look at like they loaded in with certain cartridges, for lack of a better term. Like in this cycle, we're loading in more humans. In this cycle, we're loading in more tigers. And this, like like that kind of thing. And of course, it doesn't just feed Earth; it feeds all worlds. So, but yeah, I I I think it's heavily comes off of that, because if you look at like tracing John Collins and Molly Collins and their conversation they had earlier in the season, it's very, she passed away in this realm. I mean, at this time in this realm, and then was born again at this time in this realm once she found her way through death or whatever, once she was cycled back through. So it's like she's been in her soul's been recycled not just a few times, but literally around in the same region. He was able to trace her around. So it's not like I died in Texas and I'm reborn in the Philippines, or vice versa. So that's really precise how this thing works. It's almost like, no, we were really hoping this entity, this person, this being, this consciousness would succeed in this lifetime, but they just didn't get that chance. Let's give it to them again. New memories, new body, new try.
Yeah.
That's the life engine. Hopefully it doesn't stop.
All right, now one from Brandon Greer. So, Lina Klein appearing in Eddie's dream is not Lena, but in fact a dream deity. Does that mean his father was too? And does that also mean that there is in fact no coming back for Lena?
Yes, and yes.
Yeah, kind of nailed it.
yeah, you got it. They are just the weavers and reavers of the dream realm. Once they found out from, I guess, Jasmine and Laughlin and all that this was happening, like why all this is going down, they started working in every way they could. And this was in our time, decades ago, in dream time, no telling how long. And now they got the solution to the infection that's coming into their world. It's like, okay, well, let's find the key players that are screwing this up. And one of the biggest ones is Eddie the Anathafeind Vial.
Yep.
So let's appear to him as he awakes as this machine, and his consciousness is coming back to life from this state of being he's been out of. That whole time he's been in there, they're just coursing him. Come to me, my love. Get away from them, my love. You don't need this. Well, that's not working. So let's get the dad to piss him off enough to maybe A, he'll walk into something he can't handle and get killed. B, he'll listen to Lena and just go away and escape in his own head away from everything. They're trying to stop him as a variable in this anathema. But yeah, I think that answered the question. Oh, Dad. Yeah, Dad is definitely, again, one of them. And Lena, as far as we know, she's in hell, where she belongs, and she's locked there because the soul lock was shut off.
Yep.
So does that mean that's the last we see of her for this series? Yes. Yeah. I think this episode is the last time Jessica voices her, the one we just heard. So. Yeah. Not the last time you get to hear Jessica, because she's still got Voz and Ambriel and a few other characters she does. So not the last time we hear Jessica, but the last time we hear Lena for the whole series. So I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, she's gone.
Are you sad now?
Yeah, I am. I'm very proud of that character.
Yeah, it's a good character.
Yeah.
Don Watkins says, earlier in the season, Dr. Laughlin talked with Joey extensively about his visions. I'm wondering if he can see more details about this coming storm. Are they just dreams, or are they really premonitions? And if so, has his dreams been manipulated by the dream realm too?
That is a really good question, Dawn. So I just want to take a minute and thank Dawn. So Dawn, he's a couple generations older than me. Not like elderly or anything crazy, but I mean still up there and like my parents' age. So it's really cool to see him go from someone I work with that's like, oh yeah, I'll listen to your show, to questions like that.
Yeah, that's a very
I got a question.
Deep question.
Very vested in the show, listens to it pretty much every day it comes out, and then is like at my desk by the end of that day, or questions me the next morning. So it's really cool. So thank you, Dawn. I don't know. I mean,
I don't either. I think it could be possible either way.
I can't get into too much of it because it's spoilers for what's coming. Are they just dreams or are they really premonitions? I think those are one and the same. Like people use being a seer or sensing premonitions. They pull those details out of the dreams and those are actually being put there. So even though I as a human perceive what I dreamed as a vision of something, just because somebody put it there doesn't take away from the fact that it still may be.
Well, that's what happened with Jasmine.
Right.
For her to solve all those crimes and things like that.
So I would say, yeah, his dreams are definitely being manipulated by the dream realm. But I don't know if he's as much as, like Joey said, I think in this most recent one, like, I've seen, pieces of the future and we will win this or we'll do this, or Duncan, like just being positive. Now, how much of that is he neglecting to tell them about what he told Marcella about the giant bone towers and all that stuff? Like, yeah, those guys get it, but I don't know how our world turns out, so I don't know how much of that's been shared with Laughlin at this point, and how much did Jerry and these things in his dream show him.
Yeah.
But, good question.
Robert Rogers asks, is the escaped Sandman someone important we have met several times in this season?
You've met him once. And we'll talk about that more next week.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it's not somebody that you're going to be like, oh, it's this guy. I mean, it's a very obscure character from a mini episode.
Yeah.
So if you want to go re-listen to all 38 of those before the episode drops on Tuesday.
Which you probably could because they're not very long.
Yeah, they're not very long, but you'd probably still be like, I don't know which one of these people this could be. I mean, a big hint, there's only one that's got to do really with the dream realm, I think, in the mini episodes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called Dreams. Go take a listen.
Yeah, I think so.
But, yeah. That's all we can talk about right now. I mean, there's no spoilers for that episode, but what is this entity and who is he and all that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, and that's coming.
I think we have some more questions about this too.
Another one from Don Watkins. I'm really curious on how they are going to get this dream lock out of this guy's mind. Are they going to have to use a
Vulcan mind probe?
I don't know what that is.
You're not a Trekkie?
No.
Me neither.
Please elaborate if you can. If not, I guess we'll find out soon, huh?
So I think Vulcan mind probe is like where they just like kind of Professor X you. Blow us up in the comments. Go ahead. I'm not a Trekkie. That's no secret that I'm a massive Star Wars fan. That's not why I'm not a Trekkie fan. I just, every time it was on like TNT or TBS or USA or whatever late at night, I was like, I just couldn't get into it. Well,
that's really hard, I guess, for like our generation to get caught up on.
Yeah, there's a lot of Star Trek.
There was a lot of
predates Star Wars
and stuff like that. But to go back to Star Wars, it was 3 movies.
And it's just science fiction versus science fantasy.
Yeah.
Big difference. So I'm sure he's going to use the Vulcan mind probe trademark to extract the information he needs from said Sandman. Live long and prosper.
I was going to say, that's the only thing I know from it. And the weird hand gesture.
And the Starship Enterprise. And,
Isn't it like this thingy or something?
Yeah, like... Yeah, that.
I can't do it with the other hand. I can do it with this one.
There you go. Yeah, that's a V, Vulcan.
Oh, is that what that's for?
So you're going to take that and you're going to put it in someone's brain and we're going to pull out the... All right, we spent too much time on this.
Yep.
Next question.
We have another one from Duncan. Oh no! Why would Juliana's soul have ended up in Scary/Hell and not Heaven/Ark? Do I have that right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So she is in Scary. She's obviously not going to go to Hell, and even if she was going to, that realm is locked.
That's sad.
She can't get through the life engine or through the pearl gates to Heaven because she was killed too violently. Remember, Scary kills or takes souls indiscriminately. Doesn't matter if you're a perfect mother of 4 that went to church every Sunday, donated to everything cause you could, helped out all the time, always gave, never took. If someone skins you alive, you're going to Scary. Sorry.
It's not fair.
Same thing, if someone tortures a mass murderer, they're going to go to Scary. If they just get shot in the head by the police, they're going to Hell. Difference. I know a lot of times those realms get really confused.
Yeah, they do.
Because a lot of the structure for Scary and how it was made, which we touched a little bit on in this episode, comes from Hell.
Yeah.
was the architect, or was the archetype for scary vampires and pyramids of death and such. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, she's in the land of blood and mud and guts. Poor thing.
So Don Watkins says, so Vima/Doc had Ginny as a spy within Malak's administration. So would it also be possible for them to have a spy within Sirenicide too? If so, Doc's connection with this person would make it real easy for him to know what's going on within Sirenicide.
I'm going to go ahead and say there is no Doc spy within Sirenicide. Sorry, Dawn. But I'm also going to say I really wish I would have got that question like 2 years ago.
I know, that's really awesome.
Because that is epic. Can you imagine that? Like, because Johnny doesn't scar every single person in Sirenicide. Where Doc has found a way through Johnny and through these other people to be connected to all of his acolytes. Like, that's part of his hive mind ideology. So if you snuck one of those guys in there and it's just like, oh no, Ted that died a few years back was the one that scarred Bill here. You know, or like, however, like, where did he come from? Well, he was the highway guy from North, freeway, blah, blah, blah. Is that really your story? Yeah, yes.
Well, they let so many of them out in the wild,
right,
as they call
exactly.
it.
So, Bill scarred him, but he never came into our services. But now that all this is going on with Doc and Vima, he's come to help us. Like, he realized his scar after seeing the news is what. It would have been so cool, but sorry, not happening.
No,
not yet. Not happening. Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Maybe in the anthology series.
Cover up Sirenicide. And Duncan. Damn, so Malak crushed Ginny Hayworth, his assistants, to death with debris when he smashed down through the roof and landed by Juliana's body.
Smite!
Instant punishment for her betrayal? But did Malak even know about Ginny's betrayal? It had only just happened during his speech, so did he effectively murder a person who, for all he knew, was innocent, or was Ginny collateral damage?
So, I don't think... I think, yeah, collateral damage, definitely. But it's like, well, there's a scene back in season 3 where he's like, I see you, Margaret Sharp. I see you right in front of me, like what you really are. I don't think he does that to everybody. I think he still tries to use what humanity has being here, like, oh, she applied for a job, let's give her a job. Like, why didn't it be like, have you killed anybody? Like, use his Vulcan mind probe. That's so not how this thing works. Watch, people are just screaming, pulling their hair out. No! But I think that Ginny was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think what it was is, as he felt Juliana's light go out, he was sensing that last piece that he shot up, dropped down right by her body, and that just happens to be where she lands, is where Ginny was. Like, if the Anathafeind would have been standing in that position, or Vima, or anyone else, they would have got smashed just as quickly.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I think she's just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And I feel like you don't know Ginny's, like, we've never explored her whole backstory. I mean, who knows what Vima has on her, or what is threatening her with to take on this position, or,
And look what we did. We turned someone into a bad guy and killed them in the same episode.
What?
You didn't have to wait a whole season for justice here. Even though I know a lot of people were really upset about Vima in this episode. Or not this episode, the previous episode in 12. He almost got her and they pull him back. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our final question comes from Waylon McKenzie.
Rest in peace, Mr. Mercury.
Will any other Wraith Brides of the god of death become significant before the anathema?
What is y'all's deal? Why can't y'all ask these questions like 2 years ago? That would be so cool. Like, have more Wraith stories. I will say, with Hearing the Haunted, there are going to be more avenues explored with Death's Wraith Brides. We got the one story of the one feeding off the children. Yeah. We know that Vozlyn is this Wraith entity, like, infused all throughout Scary and helped create it. So I guess she's like, she said, I think she's the first bride. I don't know how much deep she's gone into that in this episode, so there's a little pre-spoiler if that's in the next one. I think this is the episode. Yeah, I guess I should listen to that before I do these Q&As. I think this is the one where Emmett was like, "Before I do all this, tell me who are you and what are you?" She's half Draymere, half which is a half human, half vampire, and then half Roderick.
Roderick.
Um,
Roderick.
but yeah. So no, we don't have anything for this season anymore because we're down to, after this one we have 14 comes out Tuesday. 15 comes out on Christmas or the day before Christmas Eve.
Yes. And
And then we have the finale that comes out on New Year's Eve. So those are going to have high download counts. I don't care. I didn't release them for download counts. They're on those days for reasons.
Yep.
Anyway, but yeah. So not for this one, but I think for Hearing the Haunted. I mean, not just because of the name, Hearing the Haunted, but there's going to be some Wraith stories in there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to explore that more. Might even try to invite old Eddie Vial back to write one.
Yep.
Because he wrote that story. So we'll see. If you're watching this, Eddie, I haven't called you on that yet.
He's probably like, no, I'm not doing that. Just kidding. Didn't check with me first.
That's all the time we have for questions today. Thank you so much for viewing this video. If you could give it a like, a subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet on YouTube, please go do that. If you're viewing this on Facebook, give us a like on Facebook, and then go to our YouTube and subscribe there too.
Yes, please.
We are in the final days of the Sirenicide serialized horror drama, but we have not even begun the Hearing the Haunted anthology series, which will still happen in the same universe. Just no serial aspect to it.
Nope, you get to explore more of it.
Yeah, we get to hear a whole bunch of cool stories written from people all over the world. We're working right now on launching the Reddit page for that, which is live. If you go to Reddit and search Hearing the Haunted, there's just no form for how you submit the stories yet. And then hearingthehaunted.com is just a landing page at the moment. But follow both of those for more details. The Facebook, the Twitter, Instagram, I think all that's out there. There's just not a whole lot going on there. But if you follow all those now and view those now, as that stuff starts happening, you'll be on point and the first to hear when the feed goes live next year. And as always, you can go to patreon.com/Sirenicide. Any dollar that you support there goes towards the show, and it also will be the same support channel for Hearing the Haunted, the Midland RPG, and the Midland series of books. That's all coming next year.
There's going to be a lot going on.
A lot. So thank you so much for supporting this universe enough for us to expand it to all these other mediums, and we will talk to you next week. Bye. All elements of Sirenicide are copyright 2019 by Atrium Dynamics.
Extensively.
Hold on.